Help me reach 1,000 subscribes. Support the video with a like and leave your thoughts in the comments. I read every comment. Thanks. I was halfway through reheating leftover pasta when I heard Emily call my name, except it wasn't really a call. It was a broken, choking sound that didn't belong in our quiet suburban kitchen. I rushed upstairs and found her sitting on the floor of our bedroom, back against a nightstand, clutching her stomach with both hands. Tears streamed down her face, the kind that weren't dramatic or loud, just desperate, silent, terrified. "Please, take me to hospital," she whispered, voice cracking like thin glass. My first thought was that something terrible had happened. Appendix, miscarriage, something awful I wasn't prepared for. We weren't even planning for kids yet. My second thought was that her face didn't look like pain. It looked like someone bracing for impact. I didn't hesitate. I grabbed my keys, wrapped her in a coat, and helped her into the car. She kept her head down the entire ride, breathing in those quick, shaky little bursts like her body couldn't decide if it wanted air or wanted to collapse. "Emily, talk to me," I said, trying to keep my voice steady. "What happened? Did something start hurting suddenly? Did you eat something weird?" She shook her head, eyes locked on the floor mat. "Just drive, Daniel, please." The way she said my name, soft, apologetic, made my chest tighten. In 7 years of marriage, she had used that tone maybe twice, and both times involved a funeral. Every instinct I had screamed that something was terribly wrong, but not in the way I first imagined. We reached the hospital faster than I thought possible, my mind sprinting with 1,000 scenarios. I parked in the drop-off zone and rushed around to her side, helping her out. Her legs trembled, and she leaned against me like she didn't trust herself to move without falling apart. Inside, the nurse took one look at her tear-streaked face and waved us to triage. Emily's hands were shaking uncontrollably now, clutching the clipboard like it was the only thing keeping her anchored. "Pain scale from 1 to 10? The nurse asked. Emily hesitated. 8, she finally said, but her expression didn't match the number. It was fear, not pain, and that scared me more than anything. They took her in for blood pressure and vitals, and I waited just outside the curtain, hearing muffled questions. "How long have you felt this way? Any recent injuries? Are you pregnant?" And her equally soft, uncertain answers. Then the nurse pulled me aside. "We're going to run some tests. It might be a bit. She seems very anxious." Anxious? That didn't come close to describing what I saw. I sat in the waiting chair, elbows on knees, staring at the tile floor that had seen too many tragedies to care about one more. Every few minutes, my leg bounced uncontrollably. My brain tried to rationalize. Maybe she fainted earlier. Maybe her blood sugar crashed. Maybe it was something simple, something fixable. But there was a moment I couldn't shake, right before we left the house. I had tried to help her stand, and she'd recoiled, not in pain, but like she was ashamed. After what felt like an hour, Emily called my name from behind the curtain. Her voice was steadier now, but only in the way someone sounds when they decided to stop running. "Daniel, can you come here?" I stepped inside. She sat on the edge of the hospital bed, fingers twisted in the hem of the paper gown, eyes red, but calmer. Calm in a way that scared me even more, like she had finally accepted whatever storm she'd been hiding. "I need to tell you something," she said, avoiding my eyes. And I didn't know how to or when to, and then things got too heavy and I panicked. That's why I said to bring me here. My heartbeat thudded, so hard it felt like a drum inside my ribs. "Emily, what is going on?" She inhaled slowly, like someone preparing to open a locked door she'd been avoiding for years. "It wasn't for pain," she whispered. "It wasn't for anything medical." My stomach dropped. Her voice trembled. "The reason I begged you to bring me to the hospital, the real reason, is because there's something I need to admit, and I didn't think I would survive saying it at home." I stood completely still, the air between us thickening, shrinking, pressing. "Emily, what do you need to tell me?" Her eyes filled again, but this time it wasn't panic. It was guilt, and whatever she was about to say, I knew it was going to wreck something we couldn't easily rebuild. Emily didn't speak right away. She stared at her hands, fingers trembling against each other like they no longer belonged to her. When she finally lifted her eyes to mine, there was a kind of resignation there, a quiet acceptance that whatever she was about to say would change everything between us. "I didn't bring you here because I was sick," she said softly. "I brought you here because I needed a safe place. Somewhere public. Somewhere you couldn't walk out on me, or I couldn't run away from what I have to confess." My throat tightened. "Emily, just say it." She swallowed hard. "I've been seeing someone. For months." It was like a crack formed inside my chest, small, sharp, but deep enough to hit something vital. I didn't react. Couldn't. My mind didn't race. It stalled. Everything in the room felt still except for my heartbeat, pounding like it wanted to break through my ribs. "Who?" I asked, voice low. She looked down again. "His name is Tyler. He works at the studio." It started as talking, then coffee, then it stopped being innocent. The curtain beside us rustled slightly as someone walked past, but the world felt soundless, weightless. My mouth tasted metallic, like something had cracked open inside me. "Why here?" I managed. "Why a hospital?" She wiped her cheeks. "Because I knew if I told you at home, you'd leave. And I needed the chance to explain, to apologize, to take responsibility, without you walking away before I could even say it." My jaw tightened. "So you faked pain? You lied just to trap me in a building?" "It wasn't to trap you," she said quickly. "It was to keep you safe. To keep us safe. I was afraid of how you'd react. Not because you're violent, not ever, but because you're calm. Too calm. You shut down and disappear into yourself. And I didn't want you to vanish before I could tell you everything." The words felt backwards. I wasn't the one who disappeared. She had. "Emily," I said slowly, "how long has this been going on?" She exhaled like she'd been holding her breath for months. 6 months. Maybe more. I stopped counting once I realized how deep I was. And I hated myself, Daniel, every single day. The strange part wasn't the betrayal. It was the clarity. The way my mind suddenly connected threads I had ignored. The late nights at the studio. The way she jumped when her phone lit up. Her sudden interest in yoga despite hating exercise. The emotional distance. The cold bedroom. The half-hearted apologies. The tears in the shower she insisted were from stress. All of it lined up now, like puzzle pieces that had been forced apart only to click perfectly into place. "Why now?" I asked, hearing the faint echo of my own voice. "Why the panic? Why this breakdown today?" She breathed slowly, visibly shaking. "Because it ended. He ended it. His girlfriend found messages. He blocked me, deleted everything. And it hit me all at once, what I had done, what I had become, what I had put at risk." "So you didn't confess because of guilt," I said. "You confessed because he dumped you." The silence that followed was the loudest thing in the room. Her eyes widened, stung, but she didn't argue. That told me everything. "I'm not asking for forgiveness," she whispered. "I know I don't deserve it. I needed to stop lying. I needed you to know the truth before it swallowed me whole." I looked around the small, sterile room, suddenly aware of the distant beeping of machines, the shuffle of nurses, the soft thud of doors closing. So many people living their own crises, their own heartbreaks, and here we were, just another couple falling apart in a place built to save people. "Emily," I said quietly, "you didn't bring me here for safety. You brought me here because you couldn't face telling me in our home, the one place that was still ours. You wanted neutral ground because you knew after this." I paused. "There won't be an us to go back to." Tears spilled down her cheeks again, heavier this time. "I know," she whispered. "I know I destroyed everything." The nurse peeked in briefly, saw our faces, and gently closed the curtain again. I stood there for a long moment, letting the truth settle, letting the weight of her confession sink into the spaces where love used to live. There was no anger yet, just a slow, steady grief washing over me like cold water. "I'll drive you home," I said finally. "We'll talk about logistics later. Separate rooms tonight." Emily nodded, her shoulders curling inward, as if she was trying to shrink from her own choices. When we left the hospital, she clung to her coat, staring at the ground. I walked beside her, hands in my pockets, feeling the last threads of our life quietly unravel with each step. The woman who begged me in tears to take her to the hospital wasn't looking for help. She was looking for a place to confess the one thing she knew would break me. And she was right. It did.